All right, hi everybody. I'm gonna give us a few minutes to give people a minute or two to hop on. If you can hear me, I'd love a thumbs up or a wave or a heart or something just to make sure we're good here. All right, I see some people hopping on. Anybody want to give me just a note that you can hear me? And that I'm right side up for you guys here? All right. Awesome. Thanks, Joe. I'm always worried about that. All right, so you guys can hear me. I see we've got some people hopping on. I'll take a minute to introduce myself while we're seeing people hop on. Ooh, I see we've got someone from Boston. I love seeing where everyone's from. Once I get talking and going, I have a harder time keeping up with the comments. Joe always helps out and answers some of my stuff for me here. I do try to keep an eye on them, but I'm not always quite as good once I get going. I'm Samantha Taylor with Taylor Stamped. Here today for the Scrapbooking Store. I've done a few of these. If you've seen any of mine before, you know I love mixing and matching pattern paper, so you're going to see a bunch of that tonight. There is a free sketch along with tonight that I created just for tonight. You can get that. I'm guessing in the comments here pretty quick we'll get a link to that if you haven't gotten it. You should be able to print it out just about any size you want. I printed this out. It's about 5 by 5 or so. I just kept it really small so it can be in frame today and not take up a bunch of my room. But you can print it teeny tiny or nice and big if you like. You also know, if you've seen it before, I like to give you a little bit of twist on the sketches. So you can follow the sketch just as is on your own, but tonight I'm going to give you a little bit of a twist on the sketch so you can see how easy it is to modify sketches. I think it looks like we got a good group of you on here. So, oh, I see someone from Florida, Texas. I'm in Northwest Iowa, but we split our time between here and we just got a place in South Dakota too. So I'm Midwest and Midwest. I love seeing you guys from all over the place. This is one of my favorite things about scrapbooking is the online community and how people are from all over. It's so much fun. I get to meet people and interact with people I wouldn't otherwise. All right, so tonight I've got my papers out that I'm going to use. As you can see, it's the August kit, which are, in case you didn't realize, just made for Scrapbooking Store. They are custom papers this month, which is super fun too. And then the embellishments, so I do have the included embellishment stickers and the upgrade. Just remember, if you didn't do the upgrade, they're really fun, but if you didn't, you should be able to substitute some of the stickers from the included sticker sheet, or if you've got your stash at home. All right. I'm going to start moving here then for you guys. Oh, I see Kentucky on there, California, Indiana. Ooh, all over the place. All right. I will be using this white sprinkle sheet as my base today. And then I have 2 other pieces I pulled. I've got 2 photos here. They're ice cream photos, so that's why my paper is really ice cream themed tonight. You can do this with any of the papers from the kit. Like I said, I got ice cream photos, so I'm using the ice cream paper. I grabbed the cone base sheet. The other side of this is the ice cream layers, which is really fun, but it got a little too busy with that, so we're going to be using this side tonight. And then I have one of the other sprinkle sheets. Now, if you can see, this is going to be my first layer right behind, or the very top layer right behind my photos. What I'm doing different than just following the sketch exactly is I'm doing this on an angle. Okay, so you can see how it lays on an angle like that. What I'm going to show you tonight, hopefully, bear with me, I always have to use a little brain power when I do this, is show you how I cut this at an angle with the layering piece behind it. Okay, so normally I pre-cut my stuff so you guys don't have to watch me cut everything, but I'm going to show you how I cut this. Because if you cut if you turn and just cut this in your paper, it won't give you the length you need. And so I'm going to show you how you can figure out. Now, my pictures are about 4 inches tall. And so I decided I wanted a 5-inch tall piece of paper. So if I were to lay this straight from here to here is 5 inches. Okay, makes sense? Doesn't lay straight, but just so you know, that's a 5-inch measurement. This is 5 inches with a 1-inch slant to it. So let's go from here to here is 1 inch. So this runs at a 1-inch slant. Hoping that makes sense. So I cut that. What I want to do now is have a 6-inch width here. So I want a 1/2 inch of border. So when I cut this, you know, when this runs across it, I'm going to want a 1/2 inch border a little bit wider. So if I want a 1/2 inch border on both sides, I've got to add an entire inch on. Does that make sense so far? If you wanted to do a 1/4 inch border, you double that and add a 1/2 inch to each side. So since this is 5 inches, I need this to be 6 inches wide when I'm all done. Okay. I practice this ahead of time to make sure I did it right on a scratch sheet of paper. And I just happened to pick a scratch piece of paper that was the same color. I didn't mean to do that. But when it's all done, it's going to look like this with a 1/2 inch on each side. Okay. So to cut this, I'm going to go from corner down to my hash mark here. And what I did for that, I flipped it over the back side so I can work on the back side and not have to worry about pencil marks showing. And so what I did is I went, okay, it's going to slant this way because I never want to have to try and get the slant right off the top of my head. So my slant here, I want to go this way. So I'm going to start at the top corner here. And I'm going to take my handy dandy ruler and I'm going to measure 6 inches down. Can you see I kind of did that already? And I made a little hash mark at 6 inches. So this side, my top side, is going to run from here to here. Now I want to cut down, remember we said 1 inch. So here, I'm going to bring this to 1 inch and make a slash mark there. When I line up to cut, I'm going to go from my corner to this. If you don't have a paper trimmer that can kind of fit at an angle, mine just about fits it, and I have one giant trimmer that I can do corner to corner. If you have a smaller trimmer, then what you can do is then take your ruler and just draw a straight line and use the scissors to trim across. I'm going to show you how I do it with my paper trimmer because it just fits in my sort of medium-sized paper trimmer. All right, so I've got that. So I'm going to cut here to here. And then again, I said I want this to be 6 inches. So it's going to be 6 inches from here to here. So again, you can see I just lay my ruler, use the edge as my straight side and kind of butt it up against there. And from here to here is 6 inches. I also need it to be 6 inches from here to here. Remember, I made those marks already. So I'm going to cut from this corner to this line and this line to this line. I'm going to pull my paper trimmer over now and show you how I do that. I hope you guys are following. It's a little bit hard to explain, but I hope as I'm showing you, I hope you're able to kind of see it. All right, so then I'm going to go this way with it. It's actually easier. And I need to go, from my corner. So I'm just lining this up. I'm putting my corner here where I know it'll get trimmed on one edge and my line that I made with my pencil here. And we're going to get, and you can see I've got to be kind of careful when I push it down. My corner's not quite lined up how I want it there, sorry. When I push it down, I've got to be a little bit careful so I don't wrinkle or rip my paper here. But if you're gentle, you can usually do just fine with that. All right. My lining up here was not the greatest. Sorry, guys. When you do this on your own at home, you'll have a little bit more time. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to line up from this mark, pencil mark that I made, to this pencil mark. And there we go. And you should have an angled sheet now. That hopefully is slanted the right direction. As you can see, I got a little weird edge here. That's because I'm on camera and not doing the best job lining up. That should line up like this. All right. Questions on that before I move on? All right, as you can see then with the sketch, all I did was use this blue piece here for where you can see the solid white here, and then my cone here for the gray. Now, if you're not as, if you're a little averse to mixing and matching so much pattern paper, I'm gonna flip this over too, because otherwise that edge is gonna bother me. So I'm gonna kind of hide it at the bottom of my paper. So if you're a little bit averse to having quite so much pattern paper, you can always use, if you've got some matching cardstock on hand, use a piece of cardstock behind it instead. A pink would look pretty with this, green as well. I like mixing and matching patterns. What you'll find, and I think what I tell you guys every time when I mix and match pattern papers, what I like to do is use some that feel a little bit more like a neutral, and then some that are quite busy. So what I call a pattern neutral would actually be something like this waffle cone paper. It looks more like a piece of cardstock when you look at it because the pattern isn't quite all over so busy. A lot of times I actually would even see this white sprinkle paper as a bit more of a neutral too, because there's so much white to it, and the all over pattern isn't terribly busy. And then usually I would combine it with something, you know, really crazy from the kit, like the suns or the big polka dots. I'm sticking with the plaids. I'm sticking with the sort of ice creamy looking papers tonight since my layout just happens to be about ice cream. All right. So now I'm going to line up my edges, and instead of straight across, we've got our stuff going at an angle. So now you have two ways to use this sketch right off the bat. You can do it just the way I drew it here, and you can do it at an angle like this. You can always turn it this way too. You can do this exact same thing to the side if your photos happen to be vertical, or you just want to kind of lay things out a little bit differently. All right. Easiest way to get more life out of a sketch is to turn it sideways. All right. Now I'm going to add my photos. You guys, we did the hardest part now. We did cutting on an angle, and after that, it's all downhill from there. It's quite easy from there. All right. I think I'm actually going to put my photos at an angle too. I'm going to kind of lean into this whole angled layout thing and put my photos at an angle too. So I plan to do this at an angle, and that is all I planned ahead of time, guys. So from here on out, you're seeing me freestyling, figuring out what I'm going to do with my embellishments from here and how I'm laying the rest of it out. Bonnie, we're glad you found it too. Ooh, I see Ruth Ann is frozen. Anybody else have me frozen on there? Okay. Hopefully it's not me then. All right, so I've got my two ice cream photos. We went for rolled ice cream, so a little bit different. If anyone's done that, it's really kind of fun, and they write your name on it. All right. I did my journaling ahead of time. I also happen to know I was going to use this. This month's kit has a lot of really great journaling cards in it. You don't always have to journal straight across on journaling cards. I used the ice cream scoop because I didn't have a whole lot to say. If I had more to say, I might have written all around the ice cream cone and gone that way. So journaling cards don't always have to be straight lines. They can definitely be ice cream cones or anything else you find in the kit. So I just wanted to kind of mention that too. I don't want you guys to have to watch me journal, so I wrote a little bit there. Pretty much what I told you guys. Rolled ice cream. I think maybe I'll pop those up. So one of my other favorite ways to add to a layout is dimensional adhesive. I also design for Glue Dots, so you'll see me using their products, but you can use foam adhesive if you've got that on hand. I just love me some glue dots. You will not see me use anything here just for show. These are all things I use every day and recommend in my own scrapping life. So, oh, except I'm getting a little sticky here. I got a weird batch going on. Give me a second, guys. All right. So dimensional adhesive. Sometimes it's a nice way to add a little something when you're going, it's feeling a little bit flat. It's just kind of a nice way to add a little bit more. So you'll see me reach for my dimensional adhesive a lot. And it's a nice way to add some dimension without adding a whole lot of bulk to your scrapbooks. Even though it pops it up a little, it doesn't make it super bulky. And what I have been told from the post office is that when you use dimensional adhesive on your cards, it does not take extra postage as long as you're not stacking like 4 or 5 up. So that's nice too. I do know I saved this puffy sticker from the add-ons. I'm not sure where I'm going to put that yet, but I saved that one for sure when I was designing. I also was thinking with this, I am probably going to add from the base kit here. Now you guys see me get crazy. I start to spread out my embellishments everywhere. If anyone else is a messy scrapper like that, I wanted to use probably this one. I add my dates to all my layouts. I do not scrap in order, and I'm terrible about getting my photos in my albums right away, so I make sure I date everything, so when I do get them in my albums, I can make sure I get them where they need to be. I see a question about, do I print my photos with a border? So I print my photos at home, and so I printed this on one sheet of paper, and they're roughly 3 by 4, but because a lot of my pictures are taken in my iPhone, the program I use, basically I tell it to put 2 photos on a 4 by 6 photo or a piece of paper. And then shrink to fit with the photos is what it's called. And so it prints them with a border, and then if it's too much on one side, I just kind of trim it down. So this is actually, I can tell you, it is 4-inch tall, so I didn't trim it that way. Oh, you know what? I didn't think I trimmed it to the other side, but yeah, so 3-inch wide. There are programs out there too where you can drop them in and make a border around them and print them that way. I usually, if I'm using more of like a full-size photo, I'll use 3 by 5 photos instead of a 4 by 6. I just like how they fit on my 12 by 12 paper better, especially if I'm using 3 of them, which I do a lot, or 2 in a journaling tag. So if I print that size, I do the 3 by 5 for the same reason, so I can have the border and trim it down. It's just something I found that saves me time. I don't have to always mat my photos, and I really like it. I feel like it helps them pop off the page, especially since I use so much pattern paper. So it just gives me, like I said, it keeps me from having to go through a whole... I found that I was trimming my photos down and then putting them on white cardstock or maybe a different color cardstock to mat them, and I thought, gee, I've got this white border already. So once in a while, if my paper isn't white or the white looks weird, I'll trim it off. But otherwise, yeah, I print them with the border. I have a Canon photo printer at home, or just a printer, but it does photos as well. And when I bought it, I thought, oh, I'll print some photos. Now I print all my photos myself. I love it. All right, so let me get back to dating. So like I said, I date all of my layouts, or at least try to. Stick a date on them somewhere. Sometimes if it doesn't work out, I'll even date it on the back. But most of the time, I date all my photos or all my layouts, because I don't scrap in order. I did want to show you guys, slick writers are great for stickers that are shiny, that have this kind of coating to them. You can write right on them, and they dry really fast, and then they don't smear. So you might have problems sometimes with some of these slicker stickers, and so slick writers are specifically meant for that. I know there are some other markers out there for that. I've just always used the slick writers. They come in a couple different colors. So if you're looking for something like that, just so you know, there are things like that out there. Okay, so the reason I've been standing here with this on my finger is because I'm thinking I might want to layer this up a little bit. And so I was just looking through what I've got for stickers here, and I'm thinking what I might do excuse me here, I pull under this. Usually I try to leave myself a little bit of an edge on my adhesive here so I can stick stuff under as I change my mind. So pardon me as I flip around. There we go. I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to layer this on top just to give it a little more dimension. You'll hear me use the phrase give it more dimension a lot. I really like my layouts to have texture to them. All right, so I'm going to add my date here, 7/1/19. Pardon my head if it gets in for a second. Oh, and this is my one that's drying out. My sister-in-law borrowed some of these for a graduation book, and I forgot to go through them. But you can see how easily that writes on there. I usually try not to touch it for a little bit, but in theory, you can usually go right over it with your finger, and it's totally fine. So, all right. So we need a title up here. You don't have to, but I like to do titles. So I'm thinking I like this Be Happy, and I'm going to go straight with it instead of at an angle. And what I think I'm going to do is use this cone right over the top of it then. Okay. I like to layer my embellishments. I feel like it grounds them a little bit when you put a few on there. It doesn't make them look like they're kind of floating out in space. Plus, I just really like embellishments. So I've got that. These as well are from the Upgrade Embellishment Kit, but again, there are so many stickers in this kit. You should be able to find some that work in place. Let's see. I actually liked this Hooray sticker too. I'm going to add that on there. I find that this type of setup for the layout too works really well if you really love your embellishments and want to just add all your embellishments on your layout. I get like that once in a while. You can kind of stack them all along the border and it makes a really pretty layout too. Especially if you had something, watermelon-y, garden-y, photos with this. There's a lot of florals and rainbows in here that would stack really nicely on here too for clustering. Let's see. Oh yeah, make sure to comment for a chance to win the mystery kit. I had been saving this family fun sticker because this was a family night out. I think we'll go here once in a while. Anyone else do that? Oh, my watch band, Etsy. I got it off of Etsy. I'm a big Etsy shopper too. I like to support handmade businesses whenever possible. All right, and we've got some Yes Please stickers. Sorry, I should have you guys see what I'm doing. I'm not sure if I want the blue Yes Please. I'm gonna add it here or this one. I'm gonna pull them both off and kind of decide. I think I like this color combo. So to tell you what my brain's doing here, with this, I thought these were kind of fighting each other for attention. So I went with that. The idea is to have your eye kind of go across the layout and to focus what's going on your photos. So I tend to cluster my embellishments around the photos and try to make them not fight with each other. You'll also see me when I have stickers on clear like this, lay it down and see if I like it where it's at before I pull it off and stick it on too. Had someone asking about the paper. The paper is the August kit from Scrapbooking Store, and it is exclusive to kit members or to Scrapbooking Store members. It is made just for us this month. All right, now I was going to see if I wanted any of these on here. My photos might be a little dark. That might work. All right, sometimes I also like to use a shape and repeat it across. So I've got a heart here, and I might try to put a heart here and here. A lot of my layouts only have 1 or 2 pictures. I have some that I'll do, 4 or 5 on, but usually if I get above about 3 or 4 pictures, then I will turn it into a 2-page layout. This sketch works really great for a 2-page layout, and you can do 3 pictures across and then 2 in a journaling tag. But yeah, I do tend to do just a few photos at a time, just because occasionally if I'm doing a big travel book or I have a lot of sort of repeating pictures, then I might do more, but I also pick and choose and do not scrap every photo I take. And there's no wrong answer to that either. Some people scrap every single photo they take, and that is okay too. Some people like to put lots of photos on a page. Some people put a few like me, and there really truly is, I always like to tell people, as long as you're getting your memories down on paper and you're telling your story, there is just no wrong way to do it. All right, I think I'm going to quit there. If I add more embellishments, I'm going to keep going and going and going. Yeah, I always have to kind of decide when I'm going to stop. I usually take just a second and make sure I'm not missing something super fun. I said I was going to stop, and then I saw this one, and this one might be kind of cute. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to add that there. And we're going to bounce a heart underneath that, I bet then. That's the problem, guys. You just got to know when to stop sometimes, or you keep adding. I don't think that heart's going to show up there enough. So there's 2 sheets of these in here, and I'm just going to see if... Yeah, let's do that. And then I'm going to stop for real. I do make mini albums. I used to make a lot of mini albums, and lately I haven't done quite so many, and I thought, boy, I need to get back into it. I actually have a shelf in my living room that I swap out mini albums for the season too, so we make sure we kind of look at them and see them. But yeah, mini albums are actually one of my first loves. When I first started scrapbooking, I did a lot of mini albums. All right. I'm going to let you guys go for just a few seconds just to make sure there aren't any questions I haven't answered. I'm going to stop for real. I do prefer to photograph my layouts in natural light, so I will photograph this tomorrow as soon as it's bright enough, and I will get those up on, I will try to do both pages, Scrapbooking Store and the club members page too, so hopefully you see it. That way you can kind of just see what it is all done as well. The video also will get published after this, so if you jumped on midstream, or if you want to kind of look at how I got this angle again, hopefully you can kind of follow along with that from how I explained it. So, and if you have questions about how I did it, feel free to ask them, especially in the Scrapbooking Store Club members page. We do keep an eye on those, and I'm Samantha Taylor, so if you call me out on there, I will also make sure I try to answer it as well. If you scrapped along with me tonight, love to see your photos over there as well, or if you do this in the next, I would say a couple of days, but month, 2 months. I love to see what you guys make from our inspiration, whether it's from our sketches, from these scrap-alongs, or any of the photos we share with you guys. I love to see your takes on it because you guys are so creative too. Again, I'm Samantha Taylor with Taylor Stamped. You can find me on all the socials as Taylor Stamped, and make sure you're following Scrapbooking Store as well on Facebook and Instagram and all those places too, but especially the Scrapbooking Store club members is a great place to chat and find all the information. And that's everything I have tonight. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Have a great evening.